and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. Okay. We have no privileges of the floor this evening. So moving on to mayor's correspondence and comments. I'm going to assume I'm the only one going, or is the chief you going tomorrow night?
Yes.
Okay, so anybody else, Megan?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, the dinner, association dinner's tomorrow evening in Caledonia. And let's see, and on Monday I will be in Albany at the Legislative Priorities meeting for NICOM. Just a one-day thing, so I'll be back by Tuesday for the meeting. And with that, we'll move on to legislative. What do we have from the clerk? Action items, I guess we can start with.
So we didn't have any new action items or any updates. I looked earlier today, but I'll put an updated list on the share folder so everyone can look at it. We do have a resolution that's on the share folder.
Right.
That Jess has asked us to do. She's the registrar for the town. It's just combining village and town. You guys can look at it for next week. And then we do have more records that we're going to ask to destroy, so we can keep our girl that comes on Fridays busy doing that.
Okay, the only thing I have to add to that is I talked with Supervisor Schuster up in Sparta today. They're going over the contract for the ambulance service, which obviously doesn't cost them anything. But they were looking at perhaps unless we have a problem with it or the ambulance has a problem, going to a 3-year contract rather than have to renew it every year. Is that a problem for you folks? After a year, you would have 9. You can contest it or put it aside.
Would the village have to be in conjunction with what they're doing though?
What do you mean?
You do a 1-year contract with us, don't you? Or is it, there is a longer?
No, that's a 1-year contract. No, you could set up however you want to do it with each individual municipality.
I just didn't know if they had to match up because of the billing.
Shouldn't have any effect on that.
The billing is through insurance companies and stuff. It's not through the town.
You're the billing entity, not us. So if there's a 3-year
as long as we have an annual contract, that's all that matters. Whether it's
right.
For 3 years or 1 year or 5 years doesn't matter.
Okay.
The contract should just state at the should just indicate something about it, whatever the costs are provided, set forth at that time. So you're not locking into a price.
Anything in the contract changing besides how long they want to keep it?
No.
So it's still the same contract?
Be the same contract. You just would go with a 3 year starting this year.
Okay.
Well, this coming
There's a
first of the year anyway.
There's a little discussion on that too. I don't know if you want to wait till we get to that point.
We can. Just throwing that out there for now.
Okay.
But probably.
I see no problem with that.
Yeah, they just have to go before they have to hold a public hearing before their constituents so that they know what's going on, and they've asked, actually they asked us last year, we just hadn't gotten around to it. So Mark reminded me of it, so I said, man, I don't see any problem with it unless there's something I'm unaware of.
We're not going nowhere.
You can make it different for each entity. Actually, they originally talked about 5 years, but he said 3 years was enough. Well, if you want to change something, it's a lot easier with a shorter period of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And since we don't, there's no dollar thing attached to the contract.
It's almost easiest to make it a 1-year contract automatically renewable if not interjected, 30 days before the end of the contract is the easiest way to go about those contracts. I mean, then it just, you really never barter them because there's no interchanging of money other than you to the to the people.
It's just
So
covering
these
the
just
ambulance
one-year
company being
contract,
up there in
automatically
their territory, as it were, in their
Rather than doing 3.
municipalities, all it
I mean,
is.
it'd be a 20-year
They're authorized to be there.
Unless
Right.
In case you have
one of
a
the parties has a
problem.
problem.
Right, I agree.
Okay,
Since I've been here. We just-
moving on to public safety.
Start with Tammy.
I'm hoping y'all got my email with my report.
Can I say something on that? I would just like to also, go with what Dick said. The additional information you threw in there was real nice. So,
I
I
did
know
that because I gotta go to the town board meeting at 7, so I didn't want to not be able
no,
to
that
tell
was,
you guys.
that was
So I'll
great.
try
I
to
just
do
want to
that
applaud that
always.
as well.
I'll try to always do that. Beyond the email, it was just Friday night. Nothing's changed since Friday night, so. Anybody have any questions?
McDonald's still on target. They were 2 days ahead last time.
They're not ahead right now, but they will, the contractor has to turn it over to the owner on November 30th, or they have to pay, the contractor has to pay the owner the full price of the building. They will turn it over November 30th.
Here's your keys, blacktop.
Yeah, there's your keys, whether we have asphalt
They
or
fought
not.
the rain, and they fought a lot of things.
I'll be there
Oh,
at
God,
9:30
yes.
tomorrow morning for full inspection to give them a punch list for a C of O. And they're hoping to pave Thursday and Friday. I don't know if y'all saw the forecast, it's rain.
Yeah.
So, you might be having a gravel parking lot the first day they're open, but,
They fought the weather.
and I did a punch list actually today on 45 Maple Street, the front building, the existing building. I can give them, I've given them I'm giving them a temporary CFO to use the front half tomorrow. And then they'll have 30 days to fix things like the water heater has PEX on the top and it's not supposed to, and an exit light didn't work. But, so the front half is ready to go. The back half will take another month and a half. But yeah, both the McDonald's and 45 Maple Street Casa, they both fought the weather immensely, and they've done amazing things.
What about the driveway down on Main Street going back to Allen Street?
I talked to Ed Gunn today. Oh wait,
No, this is the other one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't email you with that last week, did I?
No.
I apologize. I checked with John Vogel last week to see where it stood, and the property, the strip of land going from the Griffith property on Allen Street out to Main Street, that strip has been deeded to Blacks and was filed 27th of last month in the county clerk's office. So, excuse me, and I got a copy of that, all the file date information from Mr. Vogel's office. So I've gone ahead and moved forward with address approval for new address for Mr. Griffith's property on Allen Street, and then I just have to get the copy of the real properties tax map, so I can send it to county planning and get the zoning changed.
Okay.
To the light industrial. But yeah, it was the off the top of my head, 25th or 27th of October that got deeded over to Blacks.
Okay.
So, and I talked to Ed Gunn today about his,
Mm-hmm.
and confirmed with him that front lot, that the front portion of the lot that faces Main Street, that's LR and going to stay LR, has to be 1,500 square feet for minimum lot size, and then the rest he has to hire a surveyor, and the rest and divide it, and then the rest can be the LR2, getting access from Maple Street. And he said if he gets a slow point this winter, he'll get the surveyor in there. Most likely it won't be till spring. And I said, well, then we're not going to do anything with the zoning until that's done. And he said, that's fine.
Okay.
He said most likely spring, he'll get the surveyor out there and get that done and get it filed at the county.
Okay.
But he needed to confirm the minimum lot size for that front lot. So those are moving forward a little slowly.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Larry, go ahead.
Fine. So this is my monthly report.
I have one other question for Tammy, I'm sorry.
Stand by, Larry. Hold that thought.
Put a pause on that, yeah. The renaming of the 2 streets,
Yes,
where do we stand on that?
that, they won't actually legally be renamed until probably the end of February. I was talking to Mike Bradley about it on Friday, and I needed you guys got to approve last month's minutes where it actually got into the minutes. I need a copy of the approved minutes before I can file the name changes with the county. They have to have a copy of the approved minutes to file the name changes.
Okay.
So I actually won't be, like I told Mike Bradley on Friday, I won't be actually doing it he's working on address number ranges for those 2 streets. And, so at the end of the month, or as soon as you guys approve the last month's meeting minutes, I'll get a
Hopefully
copy
next
of them.
week.
Yeah, hopefully next week. I'll get a copy of them, do the required computer work for the county, and get that through the county, and then if the county okays it, obviously they've already technically okayed it, but they have to officially okay it. Then we have to send out notices giving everybody, they recommend 60 days notice, hey, this is your new address. So the addresses actually, the streets and the addresses actually will be like February, March before they're really the new things.
Okay.
Did we send out a heads up to them people, or
We did not.
long before 911 center will send them something, or?
No, I will, when I send the form, it's all on computer now.
Okay.
When I go into the link on the computer to the county planning and 911 and do the forms for the renaming, that's when I also have to send letters to all those property owners saying, here's your notice, this is the new name, this is the new street number, this will take effect, and they recommend giving them 60 days out.
Perfect.
For it to take effect, which is now dumping us to end of February, 1st of March. So I did have one person from Rochester read it in the newspaper and wanted to be present when the Applin Way sign went up.
You know who that is, Sharon?
Yes, I believe it's Dick Applin's daughter.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, I called
Your
back
niece, is it?
and all I got was an answering machine,
Don't
so
go there.
I kept the name and number, and I left a message saying, you know, that won't be until just after the first of the year, but as soon as I know an official, I'll call them back and let them know.
I didn't mean that as a cheap shot.
Thank you.
I just forgot about what we talked about.
Well, we will be there also.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, there's not, you know, it'll just be a case of I'll let you know when Scott has the signs ready and one of the guys will go out and put up the sign.
Yeah,
That's all that
we'll
matters.
make it a little
We
more
can even put a
certain.
little something over it and do a little unveiling so they can take
Yeah.
some photos. Something nice. If it means something to somebody,
Yeah,
why not?
Does.
if it means something to
Absolutely.
somebody, it's worth
That one
it.
will, I'm not too sure. Well, Historical Society might like the other one.
So,
No speeches, okay?
no. Unless you want to.
No, because she will write a speech.
Oh, okay.
No speeches.
Oh, okay, you're telling me to tell her no speeches, okay. Okay, I understand that.
You can talk to the press or whatever, we'll invite the press over.
Okay.
Okay, that's all. I'm sorry, Larry.
Are you sure it's my turn now?
Yes. Well, I can talk about something else if you'd like.
Okay, no. All right, so this is my report for the month, okay? Month of October. Okay, wait, this thing prints out. Runs generated through the county, 98. All 98 were requests for service. We had one no crew primary, which means we dropped one call. Technically, we didn't, but my driver didn't show up that night, didn't know he was on. So that's the only reason we lost that call. Other than that, as far as coverage went, we would have been 100%. So I'm gonna kick him when I see him. As far as total calls covered, 97 were covered, like I said. One drop, which that's at 1%, and the coverage rate is 99. Our service to call year to date is 912. As far as destinations go, we went to the town, we went to the city of Rochester once. We went to the town of Groveland once. We went to the town of North Dansville twice. We were in Austin 5 times, Sparta 8 times, West Sparta 6, Village of Cancerega 1, and Village of Dansville is still the most popular place to go at 70 times. We even had a call in Dalton, of all places.
Something wrong with Dalton.
We had one call there. We would never go to Dalton.
Finding is the problem.
I know, taking you through it.
I don't know if we can get there from here.
So that was it for destinations, the total of 98. As far as hospitals went, we were at Noyes 57 times. We were at Rochester General 2, St. James 1. Strong, we went there 8 times, and Wyoming County twice. We had 12 calls that were canceled. And they were either canceled while we were en route or while we were in base. As far as the other stuff goes, like I said, we dropped that 1 call, and we had 14 refusals and standbys. Any questions?
Maybe 70 is the village again, but that's only two a day.
Oh, yeah.
That's 5 calls.
As far as our total hours scheduled, 1,325.
That's just canceled.
And only one time did we need mutual aid, and that was that 1 call that we dropped. We're at 3 for this month so far.
Almost 3 a day.
But other than that, any questions?
Not on the report, I think it was Floyd who was gonna do it last month, and if anybody looked into the
Defibrillators.
AED?
Yes, I looked into them. The rep's got to get back to me.
Okay.
Him and I talked about that, and among other things, because we're moving into glucometry. So I've been more concentrated on that lately. But we did talk about the AEDs, and I'll rattle his cage via email tonight, and I'll have something for you tomorrow, hopefully. But
Thank you.
we did find some that were reasonably priced in Boundtree. So it's best if we purchased it and then you guys reimburse us for it. And that way you get a better deal on it.
As long as it's all legal, I don't care.
Well, you kind of are an extension of us.
Well, we are an extension of you guys, and I'm finding that out more and more. For my glucometry paperwork, I put Dansville Ambulance Company, and they kicked it back, and the guy was just less than nice to me, and he's questioning, and I'm like, we're the Dansville Ambulance Company. So, and he's like, not according to your certificate. So I look on the certificate, and it's Village of Dansville Emergency Services. I have to remember that anytime we apply for anything with the state, it's got to be the Village of Dansville Emergency Services, not us. I mean, he wasn't hearing anything else. That is all he wanted.
I guess that answers that question.
So
You learn from that.
So I believe I learned from it. Having this guy chew my ear off. I'm down in the middle of a snowstorm in Pennsylvania, and this guy calls me, and he's not happy at all. So other than that, I'm good.
I got just a couple quick things. The contracts for the surrounding town that we have, Floyd was looking over that contract, and we have to add in there, the county lists them as the provider of the workman's comp. We need to add Dansville Ambulance to that, because they're not providing the comp for us. We're providing our own. So somehow that needs to get added into those contracts before they get signed. Whether we just slot it in there in between, just so it states that, because if one of us gets hurt, we're not gonna be covered under the county workman's comp.
That's true.
We're covered under our own, and they realize our territory and that type of thing, but it's just a play on words, and we need to really get that in there if we can.
Okay.
And Floyd, well, I had a discussion with Floyd, we just had a couple of things. The billing, Was there any more thoughts on billing for MVAs, sign-offs? What was the other changes they had in there that they were, some of the paperwork?
I need to have Floyd or you or
The
somebody,
collection part of that?
we need to sit down and talk about that.
Okay,
I've got the paperwork still here, so it's
okay.
Your house tomorrow, 6 coffee?
6 in the morning.
Yeah, we'll get 6 in the morning.
It's not a big walk, is
I want
I
breakfast.
need to roll down the hill.
You'll get those?
We were a little concerned, making sure that maybe some of those extra things got put in there,
Mhm.
especially with sign-offs on MVAs. My personal thought as a businessman and a local taxpaying resident, if somebody piles up their car on 390, we all jump in our ambulances, we jump on our fire trucks, we run out there to help Mrs. Jones from Pennsylvania, and she decides she doesn't want to go to the hospital. How is it fair that we're not at least recouping some of the cost for that? I think it's just something we maybe should consider or think about. Not that we're trying to bill for every little teeny tiny thing and, look at it as being a business and making a ton of money off it, but it would help infer some of that cost. The other thought was, kind of lost track here. People that aren't paying the bills. I think we should look at it a couple of different ways. Of course, we don't want to go after Mrs. Jones that doesn't have insurance, that can't afford to pay the ambulance bill. But maybe put together a committee of the village and the ambulance corps, 2 people of each, and look at each case individually and say, okay, she's on a fixed income, she can't afford to do anything. Let's relook at the bill, let's lower it, let's put her on a payment plan of $10 a month for whatever it takes to pay.
That's what we were supposed to have done when we did the building to begin with.
Right. And maybe just be a little more aggressive at it, but not over, a little overkill.
Now, when we went to billing, we were supposed to do a hardship committee.
Which, at that point, the village and the corps could look at that and say, okay, they just can't afford it. We don't want to put anybody in that poorhouse, but there's a lot of money sitting there that hasn't been a little more aggressively gone after. And I think we've had that discussion in the past that
Yeah.
maybe push that envelope just a little bit more.
What other questions do you have? Like I say, this might be a good time to sit down and not being distracted by other issues in the evening.
Sure.
And just
Right.
whatever group wants to discuss it,
Sure.
work it out,
I guess
we can
what-
present the proposal to the board.
I'm confused about the little lady from Pennsylvania that gets in an accident on 390.
Well,
She's
anyway,
unconscious, and whose responsibility is it for the ambulance to show up at her site at the accident? Are we supposed to go? Is the car going by, call 911 and say you guys need to get up there or drive by, or what happens? I mean, do you have to go to limit accident sites?
absolutely.
What he's trying to say is, number one, 390 is a major corridor for traffic going north and southbound. We get a lot of Canadian people, people from different states. I'm on 390 and 96 every day, and so I'm interacting with these people traffic-wise. Okay, they're passing through our town, they get into a motor vehicle accident. We show up, to take care of them, which is what we do. Okay, we're expending diesel fuel. We're expending possibly a bandage here and there, and just, our time to go and do this. So for those folks, if they refuse transport, why not bill them for our time? We're paying for that diesel fuel, we're paying for that ambulance,
I understand that
we're
part.
paying for those
But you
members.
say absolutely you have to go to those sites.
No, we have to, and we're gonna continue to. There's no
You
decision
have to go
there.
to those sites.
If you're a certified ambulance outfit and you've been paid by 911 to go,
You got-
either you go or you better explain to them why you can't, and then,
My question is, right,
Well,
I'm trying to justify where, you know.
well,
why we
that's
need to
billing for
why that
the
little lady-
refusal.
Yeah, it was for a refusal.
Yeah, and that's all they're doing is they're billing
All right,
for that.
can I be the devil's advocate for 1 second?
Sure.
So, little lady from Pennsylvania gets a few bandages, so you kind of rendered a little care. And I don't have any issue with if there's a knockdown style payment for that, because you've gone out, you've rendered care. I've been at accident scenes for a lot of years where people are kind of forced. They're standing there and they're like, you were in the car, come with us while we check you out. And they're like, I'm fine. And we even had law enforcement go, well, you got to go get checked out. The person's standing there saying, I got no problems. I'm just waiting for my ride to get out of here because they're going to take my car because it's totaled. And then we force that person to be checked out and he signs off. That guy shouldn't get a bill. He's standing there. He's like,
I guess that's.
he didn't render care. Now, little lady in Pennsylvania, the way you say it, a couple bandages, you've checked her or whatever. But if a person's standing there, we've forced them before to get checked out and sign off.
And we do that for good reason, because.
But they don't have to. They don't have to. We kind of, if they stand there and they say, no, we're not going to, I've heard people have turned to me before and be like, hey, we're going to MHA. I'm like, no, we're not, because there's going to be a threat to themselves or to somebody else. And they're standing here just fine. And if they say they're fine, they're fine. But we forced them. So there's a standard there where we can't force somebody to get checked out at an accident scene who's standing there saying they're perfectly fine, then turn around and send that person a bill when we force them into that. It's just, it definitely needs a committee to look at to say,
That's exactly
what is the right, what's the level before we say, we're gonna, I mean, that's gonna be a fine line.
And you determine those lines as the committee needs. My point being that the court and the village needs to meet and get this resolved as to however it's gonna get done.
There's always gonna be diesel fuel expended. There's always gonna be runs that go out to that don't result in a charge. That's the cost of doing business.
Right.
But I mean, if you're caring for somebody, which is cleaning them up, maybe they had just a bump on their head with a little cut, they don't want to go to the hospital, so you clean it out for them to make sure they're okay, you bandage it. Well, that is care. And I wouldn't see any issue with some sort of a bill for that,
Sure.
because you've gone out. But if we're forcing people, there's got to be a fine line that the EMT would have to know that, look, this guy did not want to care. He doesn't even want to sign the paperwork because he doesn't want the bill.
Okay, so the reason we're forcing them, okay, we force them based on, what we observed. John Doe was in a car that rolled 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's up and walking around, he definitely needs to be checked out, okay? We don't check him out.
Says who?
We don't, says New York State. We don't check him
What's the
out.
law behind that?
Oh, I have to go look it up, but say we didn't check him out and he goes down the road and he collapses. Then Danville Ambulance was negligent and Salino and Barnes gets involved.
So little Johnny flips his car 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I'm not getting checked out.
And that's mechanism of injury right there.
I'm perfectly fine. He's standing there. He says, I don't want to get checked out.
Mm-hmm.
What is your, how do you get him to get checked out?
Okay, well, I explained to him, what could happen if he doesn't get checked out. You're in a vehicle that flipped 5 times.
And he says, great, if I drop, you're not covered.
You've struck your head multiple times. You could have a concussion. You could have a bleed. You could have a possible spinal injury. I'm basically going to explain to him what he wants, okay? When you say force, it comes to me as, like we're kidnapping these folks. We ask them if they need to be checked out, and if they refuse to appoint, we get on the phone to medical control, and we say, look, this happened. By getting on the phone to medical control, we're talking to a doctor, and that doctor basically tells us yes or no, you need to transport them. So, but we don't really force anybody to do anything.
I know that we're not putting in handcuffs,
Okay.
but I do know, you know what I mean by force. So let's not over exaggerate that word. We all know what that word meant, because we've all seen it. But in the end, if he does not want to go,
he don't go.
Like with Danny, what he's saying, I got in that accident on 436, the county road, that lady pulled in front of me. I T-boned her, I was fine. And I'm like, I'm fine, worry about her and her kids, they were fine in the long run. And I was a refusal, I'm like, I don't need anything, I got seatbelt burn, really, airbag went off. it would be enough that you would try to get me to go. I'm like, I'm fine, I know I'm fine, so I sign off. I'd be pretty upset with the Village of Dansville if I got an ambulance bill, cause I called for them, not for me. You know what I'm saying? See what I'm saying, or no?
So that's what I'm saying, we just gotta make
Right,
sure that
there's gotta
whatever
be a way
line
to-
we set up,
And I
It
understand
can't
what
be-
Skip's
it can't-
talking about too.
Yeah, I get it, it's just, it gets to be a funny line, because you know how the dispatch policy is. We've all gotten to accidents, we're like, wow, we got fire trucks and ambulances, and really, it might be a broken down car on the side of the road. You know, with 2 cars stopped and they come into a 3-car accident. You know, it's all, you know, we can't just be firing out, you know,
Well, I
bills
don't
for
think
refusing
that's, I don't
to.
think that's the point that I was trying to make.
no,
We need to start looking at some of that.
Mhm. Yeah, I just
And
want to see
you
like a
just gotta
blanket. this is
draw
what we're
that
doing.
line in the sand.
so what I would ask is, I would ask the ambulance company to draw up a policy that they would think to be fair for the village to look at.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to sit down with all of the issues, not just one and piecemeal.
Right, and then just put together
Mhm.
some sort of.
And usually the
policy
fire
that-
department, which is, they go over the scenes also, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
automatic.
You know, even if you have a house fire, you know,
Right.
I see your point, what you're doing, but there's a line there we gotta fix it.
Yeah, well, it's gonna always be that skewing line that's moving one way or the other.
Why do I have to pay this? Why, I didn't call them up to come and get me, you know, or whatever, like.
But if they were bandaged up, then they were worked on, they,
You always hear that anyway, you know, after they get their
Well,
bill.
and that can be part of that.
What do I didn't call them.
If you didn't actually touch that patient, then no, they're not gonna get a bill, they refuse to go.
and also if a guy says, well, I'm good, well, let's just get your vitals, you didn't really,
Exactly.
that's not a bill.
You just kinda work through those little things
And, you know, that stuff we're doing out of concern for the patient, we're not doing that to,
That's
you
right.
know, make more money.
That's right.
You know, like I said, John Doe in a car that flipped 5 times, in my opinion, and every EMT would agree with me, definitely needs to go get checked out, because you never know.
And most law enforcement officers would agree with you, going, yeah, hey buddy, go with them.
You're sitting at a bus accident and your ambulance is up there for hours and hours and hours, you know.
I mean, I
There's
work-
another situation right there, you know, because you're spending a lot of, you know, fuel and stuff sitting up there, see, that's another way of looking at it too, if at that meeting, you know.
I mean, I worked for National in Rochester before I came down here, and, you wouldn't believe how many times we went on
Did we ever
calls.
have another one of
We
those?
went
Let's
on
have one
calls, and we had
conversation,
people
please.
basically refuse our service. We leave just to be called 10 minutes later to go back and get that person. I've seen it happen here.
Well, why don't we toss some stuff around at our meeting next week?
No, that's
I like you thinking.
But that's good thought, so.
it's all good.
Did we, where do we stand with our contract with the village?
I don't know, I sent an email to Shannon, I haven't heard back.
Oh,
He's in Syracuse now.
we'll get on that. I'll get after him.
And question for you regarding
Well, your time was up, we were on this, yeah.
outbound Arkport, our territory that extended, you know, goes out to Arkport and over the Burns. We have a contract with, is that with South Dansville?
That would actually be, part of that's Cancer Egg, isn't it?
Okay, because Cancer seems to be taking issue with us being out there.
I know we extended that for fire service.
Yeah, I think the only contract that was changed was fire.
Yeah.
Okay, because we go all the way down to the Arkport line, the village line.
I thought Cancer Egg gave up.
There is, it says.
I remember there was conversation, and I believe ambulance at that time said we have no issue with it, but I don't know where it went. I don't remember.
I don't recall it going anywhere.
Updates to contracts or anything, but we can look at them. All of the contracts did go out too.
That would be
and most
South
of them are
Dansville's
back,
district,
but-
wouldn't it?
All the way to Wiley Road, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
Other
go
roads.
beyond.
See, we go beyond Wiley Road, we've been going beyond Wiley Road all the way to the Arkport line.
I think Wiley Road's where the fire contract
Now where the
stopped.
town North Denzel sign is there?
Yeah, it turns into Cornellsville right there, then Arkport.
The only agreements that I recall, this doesn't mean anything necessarily, but, it's just with the fire department, going as far as, like you say, up to Wiley Road and that, covering South Dansville.
South Denzel, yeah.
Well,
So
town of
you guys
Dansville
told
is
me
what
you
it
had
is.
no idea why we're going that far?
You gotta check the 911 center, they're the ones that laid the district map.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're being sent out there, I have no reason why.
We're going all the way to, Jenkins.
Seems like Cancer would cover that.
Jenkins, it'd be faster to call somebody from Hornell.
I mean, hell, I'm in that trailer park all the time.
Well, that was
Got my
Cancerega's
truck and-
district from what I understood for
Child Park, right?
Yeah, we're in
I don't
there.
recall ever taking over an ambulance service for Cancer.
I don't understand why you're looking.
Is it for a motor vehicle accident?
I
Is there
remember all
something
of the
different?
conversation, and I did dig out a map, I think that somebody had drew in part of the conversation. I gave Shannon whatever I had on information, but there wasn't ever, I don't believe, an actual change, just fire, and then,
Mhm.
who was it? Did Chambo help me with that? Because he worked for 911, so he helped do up a map for Steuben County at that
Chamber or
time.
Woody?
Woody.
Woody would have done
Was it
that.
him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably.
okay.
I know they rearranged South Dansville and Fremont. That was a year or two ago, a couple years ago.
I don't remember any of it.
They-
And I think that's when all the conversation
before you guys
was,
came
right?
I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Greg came to us when Greg was chief.
Just wanted to find out why we're going that far. Not that, I mean,
Dispatch is sending us that far.
8 miles that way, 8 miles that way, whatever, you know.
Where's 607 start?
Well, that's an
Top of the
interesting
hill, top of the hill.
conversation there.
That should be the line.
I knew it was fire, but I don't know what,
Yeah.
if our rescue contract, but you're going there for just straight ambulance calls,
We're
huh?
going straight ambulance calls.
I wonder if when they overlaid the fire, if it automatically somehow they overlaid the ambulance as well, but I really think that the fire stopped at Wiley Road due to the fact there was only like 8 farms or something, if you remember, there was not very many houses. And it was really gonna, if anything, pick up motor vehicle accidents, actually motor vehicle crashes.
Crashes as you were.
We've had a handful of times to the other part by Silk Road.
Yeah,
That's where the 500
Mike
down
Perkins
there.
owns that too.
I mean, the county can't put us through.
Before my time,
Well,
I don't think about it.
there's nothing covering you going out there, I can tell you that.
As long as they pay.
Dick probably remembers, you got a good memory.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I do, certainly. I only remember the, fire service extension out there. I remember the comment was, we get about 2 or 3 calls a year, and then about 3 months we had that many or exceeded it.
That was the other one too, up there on, heading through Austin. We're gonna take in the other part of Cancerega. Get nothing, the first weekend there was
Yeah.
a chicken coop fire.
Yes.
There was only one call there in the last 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I-
Is that it for ambulance? There's nobody from fire?
Don't see anybody. Glenn said he's out of town. Won't be back. So I guess we're moving on. Chief.
I threw out an email to you. Catherine Musha has applied for a part-time position. So if all checks out with civil service and things, I would like to put her on as a part-time position. Working through the transfer option with Batavia PD. So not sure how much time I have as far as when she comes off up there and can come on here. So I didn't know if it's possible to do a pending circumstance, a vote to approve her in that part-time position pending civil services acceptance.
She could still be a part-timer, non-civil service.
I'd prefer to try to keep her civil service if all possible.
So she's quit Batavia?
She's going to, yes.
Personally, I want to know more what the story is. She just doesn't like it there, or
Yeah, that's part of what I'm.
if we should go to executive for all that, for
No.
you're talking employment. I mean,
Well, we can, but let's talk about something else first.
moving on.
Well, for those who'd like to talk to a bit too, so maybe that's a good time for that as well.
Mhm.
Let's see, another officer's back light duty. He's got an appointment on the 20th to see if he's ready to come back full duty. Anticipates he will be. Card bids will be in day after tomorrow. We'll see what they are offering, what's available. odd even winter parking beginning November 1st, so those flyers start being put on cars. Not that this is a big deal, but computer in the back room is not working, so it's either $250 to fix it or $800 to buy a new one. I'm leaning towards buying a new one since the old one's a number of years old. And basically, it's that time of year again with the snow and you're not even parking, so just to refresh everybody's memories, the police department helps the highway department out, just like we would if someone's front window was broke out of their building. We'd call the owner and say, heads up, there's a window out of your building or the door's open or what have you, and how they decide to handle it's their business, we just do the notify. So the same thing with the snow issues, the officers will go out periodically throughout the evenings and the weekends when the highway crew's not on duty. And what we typically do is we check Gibson Street at the bend, Maury Avenue at the top of the bend, Depot Road, Chestnut, Leonard, Liberty, Park, and Dugway. And then we try a couple stop signs that are typically slippery, and that's at the intersection of Elizabeth and Prime and Washington and Ocean Street. Have tendencies to be, for whatever reason, tend to collect ice. So they also
add one to that because the other day in that snowstorm, Maple at Main Street, there was cars that just sat there and basically, I was like, well, should I go push? Well, then they would back down, they'd get a running start, but now they're coming out into traffic that's, so I just got out of there.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Once they got up there.
I mean, it was just, I'd never seen, they just sat there and just spinning, I'm like, well, that's odd.
So those 10-ish locations get checked, and should one or more of them have difficulties, then we make a call to the highway guys at night. We make them aware how they choose to respond to their business, but we make them aware. That's what I had this department meeting on Thursday, and other than that, things are clicking along.
Chief, on the streets again, as far as that goes. In the last month, I've seen different areas. One had carpet rolled up that they'd taken out of their tenant house and put out front by the curb. Another place had a mattress out front. The waste removal companies, I guess garbage pickup, are taking them.
Yeah, sometimes, not all the time.
But sometimes it might be 2 or 3 days before you get to them.
Pickups are what
I'm kind of upset about that. That is a pet peeve of mine about.
What days are the pickups in the village?
Monday and Thursday, they have 24 hours, once you put something out to, like that, be hauled away.
It's not homeowners doing it.
So the difficulty we have is we have
People
no
there
idea.
putting in new carpets.
Oh no, it goes in my dumpster.
He takes it away.
Well, your dumpster's open for that?
I leave nothing.
Hey, you didn't take my old car.
But anyway, that's pretty upsetting when we're trying to clean things up, and it's not the homeowners doing it, it's these apartment houses.
It's everybody. And typically, let's say Sunday, for example, let's say somebody throws a carpet out on a Sunday. I have no way of knowing whether they've arranged for it to be picked up on Monday.
So what?
Until Monday comes and goes and it's
Right.
still there, then I'm like, well, maybe they picked on Thursday, because probably if you called on Monday morning and said, can you pick up a carpet, they're gonna probably tell you, well, we can't do it today, but we can do it Thursday. And then Thursday comes, it's either there or not. If it's
Right.
not, that's great. If it's still there, then we send them out a letter or put a letter on their door on Friday, and we start the process. If it shows up on Tuesday, it's the same idea. Did they make arrangements on Thursday? We don't know until Friday morning comes and it's still there or not there.
I blame it all on landlords.
It's not just, it's everybody. And probably what you see that's out there for a number of days is probably half of what actually goes out there. The other half, somebody's made arrangements to pick it up. So then, we stay on top of it every week. Along with the brush piles that go too soon, the brush piles that are too late.
The brush piles, that's understandable. I guess.
Charlie, if you don't mind, when you see something like that, pick up the phone and call me. Call the 335-6955, shoot me the address. Or shoot me an email telling me the address, because Charlie and I both handle those.
Right.
And we both handle them the exact same way. We gotta see, okay, is it going to get picked up on Monday? It didn't? Okay, well, we do wait and see if it gets picked up on Thursday.
No, they're allowed to have that stuff out.
They are?
They're allowed to put it
Yeah,
down
you-
to the curb to have it picked up by the
Yep.
trash haulers.
is trash. We have
So-
trash haulers, as long as it's within the parameters of the law, they can put that out.
There's
But the
only-
thing is, they're not gonna pick up, big items. I mean, most of that stuff has to be cut up if you're using rug. And a lot of time, you can make special arrangements to have appliances picked up.
But
And
just,
it's a concept, I mean, it's,
shoot, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's hard, sometimes it's easier to get a hold of my office, I have the answer machine there, if my clerk or I aren't there, just shoot us the address.
there's a couple of us in the police department who are doing it, but I'll be the first one to say, a couple of things, there's 75 streets in town. You might or might not get all of them in a given day, and it's not there today, but it's there tomorrow, and tomorrow you didn't get on that street. So there's a lot of streets, and then, depending on when it shows up and when we're looking for it. And then you run into certain circumstances, I can tell you right now, 27 Clay Street has had 2 mattresses out there for 5 days, and I've written it down on 3 different pieces of paper. Do you think I've got the note written, put on their door yet? Nope. Just got sidetracked for other things. So tomorrow, 27 Clay Street is on the agenda of things to do again.
I'm always emailing Charlie something.
I'll make
And-
sure it
and-
happens.
Tammy.
Yeah, just be curious, know it, I mean, if you see it before we do.
An
or
email,
you see it
phone,
with us.
and you can, if you see it when you leave the meeting tonight, you call it 335-6955, I got an answer machine, that's kind of a saver. Just so that way, just leave it on the answer machine, no matter what the time, we'll get it, we'll get on it. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Good talk, good talk.
Anything else for the chief? Because Officer Mills would like to speak, to explain her situation, so that the board is fully aware and her concerns. And I would suspect that we probably ought to go into executive session, since it's it's medical related, so that's only her business. So I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. At that time, we can also, after that, we can discuss the other officer as well.
Motion.
Okay, a motion from trustee Rittenhouse, second.
Second.
Second from trustee Zay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Obviously, we'll continue after we're done with our executive session for those that need to, or want to stay around.
November.
Okay. And maybe you want to just turn off the recorder. And the time is 6:47.